The Toronto Blue Jays were an MLB dynasty throughout the 90s, featuring MVPs, World Series trophies, and of course, superstars. In April of 1977, Toronto played their first ever game on a snow-covered day, a game that they iconically won. The birth of a franchise that was bigger than just a baseball team, they needed Canada to win a championship. For so long, Canada's Blue Jays had no identity, no success, but then the 90s happened. They built a roster with 5 Hall of Famers, spent money like never before, scouted better than the entire league, and became one of MLB's best squads for years. Their roster included the likes of power hitters, contact hitters, veteran pitchers, and a team more than capable of bringing a World Series home to Toronto, Canada. With the failure of the Expos in Montreal, Canadians lined up like never before in Toronto. And in the process of it all, becoming a mini dynasty with some of the coolest World Series runs ever. But it wasn't easy to get there. Just years prior, they had hit what many consider to be rock bottom, the worst stretch in franchise history. So, our story begins here, 1987. Arguably the greatest Blue Jays team of all time that won nothing. Now, you're probably wondering how their greatest unit ever could have possibly been considered rock bottom. After all, that season, they broke the attendance record for the highest an AL East team had had in history. With an MVP hitter, George Bell, who had 47 homers and a .308 batting average with a .957 OPS.
1-0 to Bell. Fastball. This game is over. Blue Jays
Yet,
win.
with a 3.5 game division lead and just 7 games left, they blew it. And everything came down to a final game against the Tigers, where this tragically happened.
Little swimmer, and the Tigers face the winner.
With the loss, the Blue Jays were eliminated from postseason contention and wasted a season full of talent. The team made the championship series in 1989 just to lose. Competing with the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox was prevailing to be just too high a challenge.
The Boston Red Sox have struck the first blow in their 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays.
After finishing 1990 with an 86-76 record short of the playoffs, the Blue Jays had reached their limit with mediocrity and a franchise-altering move was on the way. But before I tell you what they did, this video is sponsored by TEMU. I don't know about you, but I love to save money at any chance I get really, but especially shopping online. Luckily for you and me, TEMU's giving $100 cash payouts if you just follow my simple steps. First, download the TEMU app. Go into the search bar and type in my personal code KCB9222. It'll immediately bring you to my exclusive page where you will win $100. It's not a coupon, it is literal cash. I ordered this awesome all-in-one baseball training kit going for $50, along with this high-quality 12-pack of baseballs for $17. And honestly, the crazy thing about this all is it felt free, and that's because it was free. TEMU is literally paying us to buy these things. I get to go give this all to my little brother, who actually plays the game, and it's completely free for me. Just make sure to purchase qualifying orders and ensure that you are a first-time TEMU user within the United States. But if you're on TEMU already and you're ineligible for this promotion, don't worry about it. If you click the other link in my description box, there is a $20 coupon just waiting for you. So please don't miss out. Just download the TEMU app using the link in my description or the pinned comment. After doing so, again, just type my code into the search bar. It is KCB9222. If you already have the TEMU app, click the other link in my description and claim your $20 coupon now. I want to say thank you to all of my friends over at TEMU. You guys are seriously amazing. Now, let's get back into the video. The Toronto Blue Jays, who were fed up with mediocrity, were looking for a legend to make a deal, their biggest in franchise history. And at the winter meetings, trade chatter between the Jays and Padres was heating up for power hitter Joe Carter. A guy who had hit 29 homers a year from 1986 onward.
Joe at the meeting said, you know, you spoke to me in regards to Joe Carter. He said, if I traded Joe, I'd have to get somebody back with some power. And I said, well, who would that be? And he said, it would have to be Fred McGriff.
If they were to acquire the star Joe Carter, they'd have to give up a Hall of Famer in his own respects, Fred McGriff. When we compare McGriff's numbers to Carter's, it's clear who the better hitter is. In just about every regard, from OPS, batting average, and homers, McGriff outshined Carter. So why would the Jays make this trade? Well, McGriff was best at first base, and Toronto had a rising star in John Olerud marching his way up onto the big leagues. Olerud was praised with elite defense, high on base percentage, and a cheap, controllable contract for them to build around.
I'm pretty much a line drive hitter, spray the ball around the field, and occasionally, if I get a hold of one, it can go out of the park.
Trading McGriff gave him an opportunity to play and for them to add another high-level player in Joe Carter.
Drive right center field, way back. That ball, a grand slam home run. The Padres go ahead, 7-3.
Aside from Carter, they wanted one more guy to fulfill their goal of a young, star-studded team within this trade. They asked the Padres if Roberto Alomar, a 1990 All-Star second baseman 22-year-old, could be included in the deal. The Padres responded by asking for shortstop Tony Fernandez. Fernandez was a veteran multi-time All-Star Gold Glove winning defender, but had a subpar bat, so the Jays said yes, and the deal was about to go through.
We agreed on the trade, and when we came down to announce it, Howie Starkman, the Blue Jays publicity director, got up in front of all the media and everybody assembled and said that the Toronto Blue Jays have acquired Joe Carter, and everybody in the room went, and Roberto Alomar, and everybody in the room went, in exchange for first baseman Fred McGriff, and everybody in the room went, and shortstop Tony Fernandez, and everybody went, and suddenly the room broke into spontaneous applause, because I think it was a trade that everybody just said, oh, it's about time to have something like this.
Joe Carter could be a leader and bring this team to the point they envisioned, to have fun and win baseball games. His role in this lineup would inevitably shake up this team to the likes we hadn't seen ever.
I'm going to have guys like Devon White and Mookie Wilson and Alomar in front of me, and hopefully those guys can get on base and let me do my job and drive them in.
Yeah, sometimes you can't explain it, but I've always had a lot of fun playing the game of baseball, and I guess the fans here, they really appreciate that.
This was one of the most fun players in baseball. The Jays were getting someone who loved the game. Outside of Joe Carter, they also knew that Roberto Alomar had the tools to be an electric player. He was speeding around the base paths, stealing a career-high 42 bases in 1989, and hit off some of the best pitchers in baseball.
He's in front on the count, 0-2. There goes Gwynn, pitch on the way, chopped on the shortstop side, backhanded by Ramirez, kicked by Ramirez, and down to second base.
But the ramification of swapping shortstop Tony Fernandez for second baseman Roberto Alomar meant they needed a new shortstop. So it was utility man Manuel Lee assuming the role of a shortstop, a guy with an awful bat who had amazing defense. He actually led the American League in fielding percentage at second base in 1990. Now in 1991 at shortstop, he was still elite defensively. The lineup was beginning to take shape, and John Olerud was becoming a star over at first base. As for the rotation, Blue Jays stars like David Wells were having great seasons.
And it's over!
The same goes for Toronto legend Jimmy Key.
I can't go out and pitch 2 times in the rotation. I can't pitch twice every 5 days.
The rotation was good and was on its way to getting even better with a new addition.
Ladies and gentlemen, for tonight's performance of the Blue Jays, starring in the role of starting pitcher in place of Dave Stieb, Juan Guzman.
Juan Guzman debuted at 24 years old and immediately turned into a beast with the Jays.
This kid's got great stuff. Big pitch.
We thought in spring training he would have a shot maybe going out as a long man. Really, he's thrown the ball very, very well since he's been here.
In 1991, Guzman had a .299 ERA and was the runner-up for AL Rookie of the Year. Roberto Alomar and Joe Carter both received MVP votes in what were historic seasons.
Oh, what you talking about, man? You got for the last 3 days. Last 2 days. I'm greedy. I want greedy.
And as for Alomar, he stole well over 50 bases and was a defensive genius. The two of Alomar and Carter were interlinked synonymously with the trade.
Utilize the stolen base to put pressure on the defense. None bigger than the one he just stole to tie Ricky Henderson.
Nobody out. Winning run on third. Base hit. Blue Jays win the East. Let the celebration begin.
In 1991, the Jays won the division, led all of baseball in attendance, and had a bright core that made Toronto, Canada loud.
Throw to the plate. Davis is out.
In center field, they had a guy by the name of Devin White, who was another guy with a Golden Glove.
To see him go get some balls in center field, I mean, sometimes I feel I would have a ticket.
Not to mention, this team had an incredible fight in them.
Lee shatters the bat. Little flare. Ripken is back. He can't get to it. Gruber score.
After a full year of dominating opponents, Toronto finished 91-71, marking the third time in franchise history they reached that 90-win mark, doing all of it in front of a record amount of fans. Ultimately, that concluded the 1991 season as they fell in the playoffs to the Twins in a 4-1 series. But despite the early exit, as they entered 1992, the vibes were immaculate with this team. One guy who hoped to be even better in 92 was none other than Roberto Alomar.
Well, what can you say about Robbie? Robbie just all-around great player. Not only as far as his offense, early in the year, he picked us up a lot of times, big hits, big two-out hits, big win-and-run hits.
He's getting better and better with age. And, you know, being 24 years old and, you know, already had 4 years up under your belt and, you know, 3 as an all-star. I mean, the guy's just going to get better and better. You say Roberto Alomar and you put 3 dots beside it, you know, for infinity.
In the offseason, the Jays looked to seriously improve their roster beyond what fans had seen. At the DH role, they acquired a veteran at the tail end of his career, 40-year-old Dave Winfield. A consistent, power-hitting leader who also hit for a decent average.
I want to be a part of a winning situation, and I think that this team was as close as you can get without being there.
A year before signing with Canada, Winfield became the oldest player to actually hit for the cycle in MLB history. Winfield and Carter were both similar players at one point or another in their career, and they both saw that in each other.
I looked at him from a distance before I knew him that well. He reminded me, if I can say, a lot of me. I'm just his style on the field. We both played the same position.
As great as Winfield was, he wasn't their only move. They wanted someone significant to join this rotation, a true ace that could lead them in the case of a postseason. And again, they turned to an old guy, this time being 37-year-old Jack Morris, someone who had carried the Twins on his back in a World Series victory just a year prior. It was the Blue Jays' belief that with these 2 roster additions, that they'd be better than they were in 1991. In big moments throughout 1992, this team just showed up. They featured much of the same guys as the year before, but expected certain players to get even better. The wins were quickly piling up, in large part due to Joe Carter.
You want steady? You talk about Joe Carter. You want 100 RBIs? You want 25, 30 home runs? That's no easy task. Year after.
The leaders within this ball club were all on the same page. Going all the way to May in 1992, they had 20 wins and just 9 losses.
I wish that there had been someone around on opening day just to see how focused this team was on what they wanted to do.
Alomar gave this a charge to left field. It's way back and gone. Home run, Roberto Alomar.
For as good as this lineup had been, it wasn't quite a masterpiece top to bottom. In the outfield, Candy Maldonado was struggling badly, an outfielder who was in 1991 11% better than the average big leaguer, but in 1992 was way below the league average. Overall, they decided to keep him in the lineup, and it paid off dramatically. The interesting part about the 92 Jays is, despite an extremely similar roster, their strengths completely changed. In 91, they were the 4th best pitching team in baseball, but dropped all the way down to the 20th worst pitching team in 1992. You might be asking yourself, how were they a better team in 1992 if their pitching was so much worse statistically? Well, their lineup went from being ranked the 9th best to number 1 in all of baseball within that same time frame.
Sox still up 2-1, but then Dave Winfield made Bobby Thigpen look bad.
Although their pitching had fallen off dramatically, it still featured a lot of great arms. In year 2 of Juan Guzman specifically, he went from being a good pitcher to being elite in this rotation. I'm talking about a guy who is arguably the best of the bunch. Outside of Guzman, Jack Morris and Jimmy Key were the real leaders in this rotation. By the summer of '92, Toronto was storming in front of the AL with 53 wins and just 34 losses. They were undoubtedly looking like they could be the Blue Jays' 10th consecutive winning team, so it was essential to keep the momentum and not to lose steam. But honestly, it was very hard to do because this rotation wasn't complete. That is until August of '92, when they made a huge trade for an uplifting starting pitcher to hold up this rotation. 29-year-old David Cone went from being a New York Met to becoming a Blue Jay. That year, he had a 2.88 ERA through 27 appearances, making him one of the best pitchers in baseball.
So excited to be talking about the guy 2 days before, and now all of a sudden he's on our ball club.
In reality, this is an extremely excellent opportunity for me to be, here on a great team and a great organization.
The reaction to this move was undeniably overwhelmingly positive between fans and players amongst this organization. It felt like as a team going through any level of hardship, they were able to get through
We've gone through some very tough stages where pitching died. Then we got stages where the offenses died. But I think each time it's happened like that, we didn't look at it like, oh gosh, here we go, we're gonna start falling now.
At the end of the season, the Blue Jays were officially the winners of the AL East with a record of 96-66, good enough to send them straight into the ALCS. Just their 4th appearance in Jays history. But in spite of the load of Blue Jays talent, the Oakland A's stood in the way with talent of their own. From home run slugger Mark McGwire,
McGwire goes down low and crushes it.
To the Athletics' speedy Ricky Henderson.
Settle and throw, and he is in safely with number 1,000.
All in all, they were the full package.
I know that we want to go as far as we can, and that's to win the World Series.
Good news for the Toronto Blue Jay fans. I think they have by far their strongest team and their best chance to get to the World Series.
In Game 1, former World Series hero pitcher Jack Morris took the mound.
Jack Morris, I think he was jumping around with his teammates, a 1-0 10-inning winner in the World Series.
Nobody scored through the first inning, but then, right after a base hit, Mark McGwire was up to bat.
And a high fly ball hit deep to left center field, looking up, and this one is out over here.
And one at-bat later, they hit another deep to left field. Game 1 was over just as soon as it had begun, but Game 2...
Get 0 for 11 in the series as Henderson strikes out and there's one away.
The Jays got going late in the 8th inning when Kelly Gruber was up to bat.
And a drive hit deep to left field by Gruber, way back, it's gone, a home run. And the Jays lead it 2-0.
Inevitably, they closed the game out in the 9th inning with a ground ball, and the Jays' playoff momentum was just beginning. With a 3-1 lead in the series, Canada's first World Series berth was inescapable. Although they dropped Game 5, Toronto fired back with a World Series seemingly on the line. In this country's first World Series, they were going toe-to-toe with the Atlanta Braves, a unit that contained 2 future Hall of Famers in pitcher Tom Glavine and manager Bobby Cox.
Game 1 of the 1992 World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Atlanta Braves. And a lot of talent for Toronto. Certainly a key will be Roberto Alomar, who has now hit in all 11 postseason games he's played in, of course, the MVP of the AL.
After the first 3 innings, when Carter was up to bat, the Jays did this.
And that's a deep drive to left field. Gant watching that one go. The first run of the World Series comes on a home run off the bat of Joe Carter.
But with 2 runners on base innings later, disaster happened.
Pretty deep. Berryhill with a deep drive to right. On the way to the wall, Winfield, forget about it.
Scratching for the little hope the Blue Jays had left, they put in bench bat Ed Sprague.
Well hit to left field. To the wall, Deion Sanders. Home run, Ed Sprague. Off the bench.
It was the moment that changed everything.
I was just thinking, we got the lead and we got a chance to win a game and go back to Toronto, even up.
With them taking Game 2, they had a chance to run away with the series heading into Toronto. And in the late 8th inning,
well hit down the left field line. Sanders watching it go. Home run, Kelly Gruber.
That was one of the final Kelly Gruber home runs ever, and it was surely a massive one.
And Maldonado takes an 0-2 pitch to deep center to win the ball game.
With that walk-off, Canada was up 2-1 in the big series. Tom Glavine was taking the mound for Atlanta, the 2.76 ERA beast. But Toronto came out swinging.
About 650 people live in Evergreen, they tell us. That one's heading for Evergreen. Deep to left field, near the pole, and a home
They
run.
then won Game 4, lost Game 5, and everything came down to a Game 6 in Atlanta. A win away from Canada winning it all. It sounded surreal, but it was reality.
It is a beautiful night for Game 6 of the 1992 World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays and the Atlanta Braves here on CBS.
Shortly into the game,
Maldonado with a high fly ball to deep left field. Sanders back to the warning track, to the wall. It's a home run.
the lead was a nice cushion, and with the Jays runner on first and second later in the game,
The 1-0 line to left to hit. Sanders plays it. Borders being waved in. The throw to the plate, and here it is. Out of home.
Toronto entered the ninth inning with a small 2-1 lead. They weren't far away from winning it, and 41-year-old Dave Winfield in right field made a massive, phenomenal diving play, knowing just how high the stakes were. They weren't just holding this lead for themselves, they were holding it for the people of Canada.
The Blue Jays 3 outs away from the World Championship.
Of course, the Braves were about to fight.
Lauser through the hole. Gruber was playing the line. The 8th pitch of the at-bat is ball 4. To left field. Maldonado made the catch. He started in and then it almost went over his head.
But after that amazing play,
The 0-2 pitch. Slap to the left side, a hit. Lauser's being waved in. Maldonado's throw is over everything. It's a tie ball.
Andy Maldonado made a potential series-costing error, abundantly overthrowing the catcher. Finally, the inning was over, and this game was going into extras. Nothing happened until the 11th.
The runners go on the 3-2 to Winfield. Down the line, a base hit. Into the left field corner. White has scored. Alomar comes around. The ball gets away from Gant. It's a 2-run double.
They carried a
for Dave
2-run
Winfield.
lead and needed just 3 more outs yet again. But
Line to left. Here we go again. Off the end of the bat, down to first. Carter makes the play for the second out. A run scores.
they were 1 out away from winning it all, and their manager came running out there to put in righty arm Mike Timlin. And early into this at-bat,
Nixon bunts. Timlin on it. Throws to first. For the first time in history, the World Championship banner will fly north of the border. The Toronto Blue Jays are baseball's best in 1992.
World Series safe. All right, man. Hey, ready to bounce on that mound, man.
See everybody fight as hard as they fought all year long, and to get in this situation and to come out, on top.
To be on the best team in baseball, in Major League Baseball, that's a thrill.
the Toronto Blue Jays, hell, Canada as a whole, were on top.
Feel the pride of Canada. We see the flags. You don't have to be Canadian to feel that pride. Don't ever change. Thank you very much.
1992 World Champions, Toronto Blue Jays.
That's a day that you will never forget. It's a world champion ring. It's a lot of guys out there that have been playing for 15 or 20 years in the big leagues. I never have a ring.
You would think that after such a special year, you would be content.
Now they ask you, what are you going to do for an encore? What are you going to do? And hopefully we're going to do what, no other team has done since the 77, 78 Yankees. We want to back-to-back this.
Which meant signing even better talent. And that's when they did the unthinkable. Directly after winning this World Series, they signed the best hitter on the free agent market, future Hall of Famer Paul Molitor, and a dominant pitcher, Dave Stewart, all while also re-signing Joe Carter to stay in Toronto. The team looked unbelievable on paper, and on opening day, the Jays made a damn statement.
Breaking ball lashed to left. Bell turns. Goodbye. Sprague homers on opening
Their
day.
core could be, dare I say, even better than the past.
Didn't give up.
The players on this ball club have a lot of heart.
They made a wise decision to add another Hall of Famer, one of the best, Ricky Henderson. A guy who had 15 total years of experience between the A's and Blue Jays. A real leadoff option that they quite possibly lacked in their lineup, but he wasn't the only great Blue Jay. All of their star players from 1992 transitioned into being superstars and unbelievable difference makers. First baseman John Olerud went from being 27% better than the average hitter to being 86% better in just the span of a year. It's the difference between a 284 batting average to a 363 batting average. Olerud was an MVP candidate, and it's not hard to understand why for one of baseball's most productive hitters. Aside from him, his teammates were killing the ball as well. Roberto Alomar himself doubled his home run production, his batting average went up 16 points, his stolen base count went up by 6 in 1993.
Left center field, base hit. This ball game is tied up.
And with the AL East division on the line,
And the 1-2 pitch to it. Ground ball for Tony Fernandez. Alomar for one. Olerud for two. Double play. That's the ball game. It's a 93-peat.
now to begin their playoff run, they came out strong.
Game 1 of the American League Championship Series.
Devon White is there, and the Blue Jays have claimed Game 1 of the ALCS.
Game 1 was a reflection of what was to come.
And the Blue Jays are going back to the World Series.
They were back, and this time against Philadelphia. In Game 1, it was an offensive slugfest. They actually were down a few runs in the game, but overall managed to turn it around and win with a score of 8-5. Unfortunately, Game 2 was not that same tale.
92 on the fastball. That's sinking fast in right center, and it falls for a hit. Dykstra around to score the first run of the ball game. The Phillies lead 1-0.
That 1-1 lead carried throughout the game as Philly evened the series at 1-1. The Blue Jays went into Game 3 and had their offense explode.
Sinking fast in right center and in for a hit, and on the wet turf it scoots past Eisenreich to the wall. Henderson is in, Devon White is in, and Molitor has a triple.
With the Game 3 win, they captured a 2-1 series lead that was in jeopardy during Game 4, where we ultimately saw the Jays trailing by 5 runs in the 8th. This game was good as over. That's what everyone believed, at least.
Joe Carter, the batter. That's toward the gap in right center. And that's ball 4. Anderson walks Olerud on 4 pitches. Down to third. Fair ball. Hollins couldn't play it. Here comes Carter around to score. Olerud to third. Molitor to second.
The score was now 14-10. The Jays were still behind, but were at least putting together something.
Base hit. Olerud scores. Molitor is stopped at third. Payoff pitch way outside. And the tying run is at first for Toronto. 2 pitch. Little looper. Long run for Dykstra in right center. Can't get
Toronto had now just come back thanks to this 6th-run 8th inning. Absolute cinema in Canada. Unfortunately, though, they dropped the next game as their offense couldn't string together any run production. Well, in Game 6, that trend didn't continue. They were still losing by the bottom of the 9th by a single run. In the Jays' first AB of the inning, though, Ricky Anderson earned a 4-pitch walk.
in the air, left center field. Incaviglia makes the running catch.
With 1 out and a runner on first, free agent addition Paul Molitor stepped into the box.
Line into center, falling fast to hit. Third of the night for Molitor. Henderson stops at second. The run that would win the World Series is at first, and Joe Carter.
Joe Carter was 0-4 in his career against this pitcher, Mitch Williams. A hit would win them everything, but an out would complicate everything.
Joe has had his moments. Here's a pitch on the way, a swing and a belt. Left field, way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions. As Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Joe Carter had become the World Series hero in Toronto, the Canadian legend everyone had hoped he would become.
It was just an exciting feeling. That's storybook. That's a storybook way to end a game.
Thanks for watching this video. I've been wanting to make a Blue Jays video really since their playoff run. So, here we are. But if you want to help support the channel, subscribing and liking this video goes a long way. Thank you for making it to the end. Watch another one if you'd like to. Peace out.